There's this word religious people throw around a lot today, satanic. Just throw it around at everything. Everything's satanic. That's satanic. This is satanic. Really grinds my gears. You know why? Because if you ask them why it's satanic, they won't be able to tell you why it's satanic. Next time someone says, well, that's satanic, ask them to explain why it is that that thing is satanic. And there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that you're going to get an answer from that person. You know why? Because they don't know. They have no idea. They're completely ignorant. They can't explain to you why that is satanic. The only thing that'll happen is that they'll get angry and confused. Ignorance, anger, and confusion. The definition of Satan. That's the definition of satanic. Ignorance, anger, and confusion. A lot of religions they have these things called prophecies, and those are satanic from my point of view. Those are satanic. I'll explain why. Christianity, for example, has this warning in it. The Bible has this warning in it that says, don't try and contact dead people. And that's like a rule. And everyone knows it. All the Christians know this rule. They know the rule. But if you ask a Christian to explain why that's a rule or a suggestion, they'll say that it's a rule, and you just got to follow the rules. Okay, can't explain to you why it might not be a good idea to try and contact a dead person. Okay, I think that it explains it pretty well in the Bible. I think that it explains that if you try and contact a dead person, you're not actually going to be able to contact the dead person, because dead people go to Sheol and you can't communicate from Sheol. It's a pit. The general idea is that if you try and contact a dead person, you're not going to contact a dead person, you're going to contact some kind of a spirit. And when it comes to contacting spirits, it's kind of a flip of the coin. It's like 50-50. It's going to either be a good spirit or it's going to be a bad spirit. And guess what? 100% of the time, the spirit's going to say that it's a good spirit. Okay? So, how do you contact spirits? Through a vision. Okay? And in that vision, it's going to be more than likely a pleasant vision. And if it's someone you knew, or like a loved one that's now deceased, that is, according to the Bible, that is not possible. It's most likely an evil spirit pretending to be a loved one. And so that's in the Bible. So another thing that's in the Bible are these people called prophets. Now, what is a prophet? A prophet is someone who has a prophecy. And a prophecy, essentially what that is a vision. A vision of like the future. Now, what happens in a vision? Okay, any Christian can tell you what a vision is. It's contact with spirits. Okay, yeah, you might be. They might say, "Oh, you're getting information from God via spirits," but the bottom line is you're contacting spirits, or spirits are contacting you in a lot of cases. And in these prophecies, where these spirits are contacting these prophets, 100% of the time they say that they're good spirits. Okay? Now, with all this information, all this knowledge we have about spirits, how can you know? How can you know for sure that the spirit that has contacted you is a good spirit? do you know? You don't know. That's the bottom line. You have no freaking idea. The person being contacted has no freaking idea. You know, there is no effort for a religious person to prove that spirit at that particular moment contacting that particular guy, maybe his name is Steve, no effort whatsoever to prove that was actually a good spirit. Well, he said he was a good spirit. Yeah, you'd expect that. You would expect that, no matter what. And really, what a religion is not faith in any kind of metaphysical position. It's not faith in any kind of God. What it is faith in human beings. That's essentially what religion is. Faith in other human beings and what they say. Maybe those human beings were telling the truth, but maybe they were lied to, okay? And another thing about prophecies, especially like end times prophecies, I can get if like your end times prophecy is like, oh, well, you know, this era is over, and because like it's cyclical, there's a new era that's born. Like, you know, I kind of get that. That kind of falls in line with monism. If your religion is monism, that would make sense. But if your end times prophecy is like, well, you know, there's like the end of time over here, which is like a really good magical utopia. But to get there, the world has to be like a really shitty place, and a bunch of demons have to awaken. And so a lot of these religious people who have that kind of end times prophecy, they say to themselves, oh man, that sucks. You know, we really don't want the world to be a shitty place, and we really don't want to awaken demons, but you know, magical utopia, like, oh man, that sucks. Like we have to get to a magical utopia, bro. So if a spirit comes to you and says, oh, hey, the world's going to become a magical place, magical utopia, but first, a lot of demons have to awaken. The world has to become a shitty place. If a spirit comes to you and says that, and you know for a fact that if a spirit comes to you, 100%, whether or not they're good or evil, are going to say something along those lines, that, you know, good things are going to happen, really got to be skeptical. Really got to be skeptical. And when people have visions, see, this is important. When people have visions, they feel really important. Like no one's ever had a vision before. Like a spirit has never contacted anyone before, ever, and given them information from beyond, from another dimension. That's never happened before, huh? Oh yeah, no. You know what? That happens all the time. People have no idea how often that happens. And people who purposefully cause visions in themselves are labeled as like occultists or satanic. Those people know that. Those people know that there's a possibility of them contacting a negative spirit. But you see, that's a necessary requirement. If you go into the whole process like a dumb prophet, not knowing really what's going on, you don't have your hand on the steering wheel, then you're just yeah, that's what's wrong. Yeah. That is the defense. It's the knowledge. The knowledge is the defense. Understanding exactly what is going on, that is the goodness. That is the angelic force. The knowledge and understanding of what's going on. And if you are just over here saying, oh, that's satanic, and you can't even explain why, and at the same time you believe in an end times prophecy that says that the world has to become a shitty place and demons have to awaken, and you go, no, you're satanic. If that's you, you're the one that's satanic. Okay. These mediums, these people who call themselves mediums and claim to channel deceased people or deceased spirits, that's not really what's going on. I'm sorry, but we really have to get beyond that point. I mean, if you're spending your time dabbling with this stuff, and you and yet you're a dualist, yeah. Oh man. What that means is that you're an American, number one. Guaranteed, you're an American, okay? And most likely you're if I can psychoanalyze you for a minute, you're most likely a dominant intuitive who just thinks like that other people are unintelligent, and because I'm so smart and I know what's going on, and I have the superpower. Yeah, right. Oh man. No, that's not what's going on. What's happening is that an evil spirit is lying to you. That's what's going on. I explained in a recent video about how reincarnation is not really what you think it is. Reincarnation, as you and I, as Americans, understand it, is dualist. Like, once we die, the spirit leaves our body, travels from point A to point B, and goes into a new body, and boom, that's reincarnation. No, that's not at all what it is. If you actually study it, it's actually monistic. And the analogy that the Buddhists, give to help people to understand it is they use the analogy of a candle flame. And that's such a great analogy on so many levels. First of all, when there's a flame there, you can't tell that that's flame A or that's flame B. It's just flame, okay? It's just the existence of flame. It's all the flames are similar. Another thing is that to light the candle flame, there isn't like a little candle flame that travels from one candle flame to the other. You have to like light the next candle with the previous candle. And lastly, you cannot have a candle flame without a candle. Any kind of flame, a flame is a good analogy for a soul or spirit, because you need certain ingredients to fuel, to keep the flame going. In this case, you need the wick, you need the fuel to keep that flame going. There isn't a flame without the physical materials. And that's the key component, the physical aspect. When you say the word reincarnation, it's got that little prefix in it, carne, which is referring to meat, or the physical aspect of things. See, you and I, we're the meat, and all the levels above us in the spiritual realm, they are dependent upon the meat level. We are at the meat level. We're at the carne level in the pyramid. And we're kind of like the meat foundation. Yeah, there's foundation under us, but we're at the basically the highest meat foundation. To think of spirit as something that travels or flies around like a space ghost. It doesn't even need meat. It doesn't need a meat brain. It just flies around by itself. That's dualism, and that's pretty new of a concept. That's pretty new. Goes against the Bible. If you're a Christian and you believe in space ghost, well, you're not. It's kind of, your beliefs are contrary to the Bible. Now, I know I don't want to have to keep talking about Christianity and or other Abrahamic religions, but really, it is what I'm really talking about is psychology, a paradigm of psychology that I would call collective psychology. And that's largely what religious teachings focus on, is this concept of collective psychology. And as a scholar of this this not very well known paradigm, well, not these days actually. As a scholar of that, I must know of religious teachings. I must, because there are so many hundreds of years of study. Academia these days is just another religion. And I feel like I cannot be wasting my time trying to prove things to people who think that there's only one way to analyze the data. It's kind of a waste of time. I've always wanted to be get into academia and research, but it seems like a complete waste of time. The entire system is in a bubble.